All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. And today's webinar is all about growing your selling skills with a very particular program as well that we have introduced to Guyana that is being run currently uh, with two groups and with very, very great results. So, in order to give you more information on the program, its effects, and its origins as well, I have with me two very special guests, Coach Shanti Persaud from Action Coach and Mr. John Kaufman from Lamour in the US. And he will be further introduced by Shanti. But as of now, I would like to introduce you to Coach Shanti, and she will be taking you as the host through the entire program as well. She is also the sales coaching trainer in Guyana. So Shanti, welcome. John, welcome. And I look forward to a really great session today. All over to you, Shanti.
Thank you, Vishnu, and welcome all on the call, even on the other social media platform that we are airing this. Welcome all. And you are in for a treat today. I would suggest that you have your book and your pens or markers, whatever you're using to take notes. And feel free, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of this session that you can ask any question. Those on the Zoom can either type in the chat group what your questions are, and John will answer at the end of the session. And so, John, could you move the slide to the next slide? So why do these companies, these global companies, and like Procter and Gamble, Google, and all these, there are many others who are not on this slide here. And why do these global companies and our local companies, and John can move to the next slide, these local companies use our principal selling series, right? And it's something that John is going to bring out more what these companies benefit, how they benefit, and why they're using it. So let me just introduce a little bit about John. He's going to also talk more about himself and what he does. But John has over 20 years in the forefront of learning and development industry. And he is a consummate public speaker and has been addressing sales executives and other audiences across Europe and the USA. And as you heard, he's the representative from Lamour, USA, and Action Invest Guyana, and Lamour, USA is also Action Invest Caribbean, sorry. And Lamour, USA has been partnering to bring this to our Guyana public and also in the Caribbean. And some of our team are on the call here today from the Caribbean. And I'm going to ask John to talk a little more about himself and continue with the presentation today. So tune in and please ask any question that you may have. John?
Thank you, Shanti. Good afternoon, friends. Our friends that are joining us on Zoom, good afternoon to you. Facebook Live, hello to you. And I believe YouTube Live as well, good afternoon. And for those who are not seeing the live session and are going to be listening to this on the recording, a very, very warm welcome to you as well. I am honored to have the opportunity to partner with Shanti and Vishnu and everybody involved with Action Invest. We as an organization have created some really amazing inroads into many different organizations, utilizing a wonderful partner channel that we have that is exceptionally well represented by our friends and partners within Action Invest. And I've been absolutely delighted in the past 3 months to be involved in delivering programs on behalf of Action Invest, both in Guyana and also in Trinidad and Tobago. And it extends our global reach. So Shanti did tell you a little bit about myself. I have been involved in the learning and development industry for many, many years, but I have to tell you, as you can tell, I am originally from the United Kingdom. I am now and have been for the last 11 years based in the United States. I am actually located on the East Coast. I'm about 60 miles north of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm the very, very southern tip on the coast in Maine, here in my home where I'm speaking to you from today. So clearly, I want to make sure that everybody is safe and well and getting through this particular difficult period that we all are having to face globally with the pandemic. And it's particularly interesting when we think about business and we think about how we're going to come out of this whole pandemic and how our businesses are going to improve, etc. It's very much my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, that the way that we do that is that we sell as effectively, as productively, as professionally as we possibly can. It is sales and the opportunity that we have to support buyers making decisions, which is going to help us to be able to come through this pandemic and get back to a new normal as far as commercial life is concerned. Let's just kind of look at sales to start with, though. Let's kind of stand back a little bit and actually look at an organization, if you will. And here's a question that I ask all my audiences to start with. And it comes from this requirement that I think we have of having a shared belief. I don't know if anybody of you out there are familiar with Simon Sinek, but one of the things that Simon Sinek, the great author, TED Talk speaker, talks about is that people do business with people where they actually share a belief. And I look to try and create that shared belief by asking audiences, what is the most important function within a corporate organization? And you know, you may have some views on that, but my own specific opinion, and you won't be surprised by this by any stretch of the imagination, that for me, the most important function within a corporate organization is sales. And the reason why I say that is really very straightforward. It's not to suggest that other roles and functions within a business are of lesser importance, but the fact of the matter is, I make the statement that sales is the most important thing because, quite frankly, it is sales that creates the opportunity for everybody else to be able to fulfill their roles. Without sales, we're not going to be able to take our products or services to market. We're not going to be building client relationships. We're not going to be able to understand our market, if you will. And so therefore, for me, you know, the most important function is sales with a corporate organization. I accept there are people who may have one or two different views, but I think we're all going to be agreed that unless we are a highly effective sales organization, then quite frankly, we are going to reduce and dilute the opportunities that are available to us. Once we've kind of got that platform, let's kind of now also think a little bit about sales training. Interestingly, in 2018 in the United States, you'll see that there was something like $30 billion spent by corporate USA on learning and development across the board. Everything from technology, management, leadership, communication. If we believe that sales is either the most important function within an organization or absolutely right up there in terms of being pivotal, then the next question I ask is to get people to understand, and the question I ask is to get people to think about, I should say, how much of that was actually spent on sales training. And it's interesting, when I ask live audiences that question, you know, I'll get answers like 20%, 15%, 25%, etc., which you might think would be representative of the importance of the function. In reality, though, it's very, very different. Unfortunately, it's very, very different. There's less than 5% spent on sales training, and it's a really interesting consideration, something to think about. Why is it the case that the role of sales, given its importance, from a learning and development perspective, is really treated as, quite frankly, a second-class citizen. And it's something that I would ask everybody to think about. It's something that I'd like you all to kind of dip into your own experiences to understand, if you're in a business role, if you're in a sales role, where did you learn to do it? How did you do it? How did you take innate skills that you've clearly got and create a framework or a philosophy that's supporting you to be able to sell? The likelihood is, for many, many, many people, they've had no formal or professional development in this particular area. And it is quite frankly, the area which provides, within learning and development, the greatest opportunity to demonstrate return on investment. Because more successful salespeople that have been trained professionally will, and I guarantee this, will sell more. It is as simple as that. Okay. One of the things that we do as a sales training organization, working with partners like Action Invest, is we position sales training quite differently. And we do so to try and overcome, if you will, this whole issue and challenge with very little being spent on sales training. We get people to think of sales training actually as part of a business development strategy, not as a learning and development strategy. And the reason why we do that is quite simply so that they will consider sales training, as I was saying earlier, as something that they can actually demonstrate a return on investment that they can calculate, that has a financial value to it. Because make no mistake, when sales training is considered as part of a business development strategy, you will start measuring the results in a different way from any other form of learning and development that takes place. You will develop a return on investment model based on wealth generation, increasing the revenue values and the profitability of your organization. You can measure it through new client acquisition, particularly against your competition. You can measure it based on the penetration of your existing clients, getting them to have stronger levels of loyalty and therefore retention. And whilst all that's going on, you're also going to be having, within your salespeople and yourselves, you're going to feel more confident, you're going to feel more motivated, and you are going to be more successful. And that in itself will reflect on the people that you are selling to. It becomes, if you will, ladies and gentlemen, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because what we do is we provide a framework and a philosophy that you are going to be able to adapt to your own style and approach. You're going to be able to contextualize around your own product and service and marketplace. And you're going to be able to adopt it so that at any point in a sales process, you are going to feel confident about how you can respond and present. And in doing that, long after the sales training is finished, utilizing best practice and making sure that you retain those skills, that training program will provide for you a highly sustainable and ongoing return on investment. We are, if you will, ladies and gentlemen, the gift that continues to give. This whole approach about raising selling confidence and credibility has so much impact on our overall performance. It really does improve and increase the conversion levels from prospect to customer. And one of the reasons for that is that this confidence, this understanding, this framework that we provide that enables you to be able to demonstrate your own credibility creates a much more effective and efficient qualification process. There's a lot of salespeople out there, quite frankly, that do not feel successful, that have relatively poor conversion levels, not because they can't be good at selling, but they're not qualifying well enough. And therefore, when you've got poor qualification, you're spending too much time trying to sell to people that are never going to buy. And that whole process of qualification will support the conversion level. That supports our confidence. That is reflected on who we are selling to, and therefore the confidence that they feel in what we're able to do, and it increases our overall sales productivity. That is the outcome that we provide. Now, one of the things that I like to start with is trying to actually understand what people's definition of selling is. And there's a few words that have come up here on a slide. And the likelihood is, if I asked you the question, what do these words remind you of? You would probably say it reminds you of that stereotypical view of salespeople. Unfortunately, it is very much the case with some salespeople. We actually have what we call a principled selling approach. And we believe that our definition of selling is actually to positively influence people. And it's an interesting thing. And let's break down the two words about positively influencing. Positive, because people need to enjoy the experience. We need to collaborate with them. We want to build rapport with them. We want them to want to be able to talk to us. And influence. Influence is a really, really interesting word. You know, our role as salespeople is actually to take prospects by the hand and lead them through a place where we are going to support them with a decision-making process. And quite frankly, the best way for me to describe why I think our own definition of selling around positively influencing is important is, if we went out into the street and asked 10 people quite randomly, what did they think about salespeople and how did they like to be sold to? The likelihood is the answer to that question is going to be, I don't like salespeople, and I don't like to be sold to. However, if we then took another 10 people quite random and asked them the question, how do they like to be influenced? The likelihood is you're going to get a whole range of different answers to that question. Some people will be able to, remember important people in their lives. The fact of the matter is, influencing people is very much an innate skill. When we were born, we were influencing. We were doing it quite crudely. As we grew and matured, we learned how to influence more successfully. We understood that if we wanted something, we had to give something back in return. By the time we got to the age of 16 years old, depending on which country you're in, we knew how to ask for the family car to use for the weekend. We knew between our parents who was the decision maker and who was the decision influencer. And we knew the kind of environment and the proposition that we had to make to them so that our request would fall on positive ears. That, ladies and gentlemen, is selling. And so we all have that kind of as an innate skill within us. What we do with the Principal Selling series is to take that innate skill and basically blow it out, providing a roadmap and a journey where what we do is create this marriage between the innate skills that you've got, no matter what your character is, and a sales philosophy and framework that bring the two together to give you the greatest opportunity. And specifically, to make sure that the people that you're selling to could never ever use any one of these words to describe you and what you are about. Now, I always joke to people, here is a picture of my old father. Of course it's not, but actually if you go back many, many years, salespeople were trained to sell like this particular gentleman. Of course, second-hand car salesman. Today, in the 21st century, selling is very, very different. Today, selling is a far more consultative approach. And one of the things that we like to do is to use this example of people within Apple. Now, interestingly enough, the bright young people on the right-hand side that work for Apple, who we've probably all experienced in an Apple store, are actually targeted for sales in exactly the same way as the rather unfortunate second-hand car salesman on the left-hand side of your screen. And interestingly enough, those bright young people from the office, from the Apple store on the right-hand side, are paid and rewarded with commission in exactly the same way as the unfortunate soul on the left-hand side is too. The reality, however, is that they go about the process very, very differently. And I want to tell you a little bit about what the process is, and in particular, what the mindset is of those people on the right-hand side. And here's a little exercise that I'd like you to do at home, if you will. I would like you to take the index finger of your right hand, and I would like you to draw a capital uppercase Q on your forehead, and place the little tail on that Q on your forehead also. Now, if you put the Q on the right-hand side, then you are writing that letter Q so you could read it. If you're placing it on the left-hand side, you are writing that letter Q so people that are facing you, other people, can see it. For us, this is an interesting demonstration of two very different styles of selling. And by the way, if you were on the right-hand side, as I do, not to worry about that. Most people are. But the interesting thing is it's an interesting demonstration of where you come from. Do you come from what we call a client-centric position, or do you come from what we call a self-centric position? Now, most people, including our friend, the second-hand car salesman, he is very much self-centric. It's all about him. It's all about his goals, his role, his target, his timescales. It's all about him. Client-centric salespeople, it's a different matter altogether. Client-centric salespeople are all about the client. It's all about understanding that client. It's all about understanding that client's need, their environment, their desires, their dreams and hopes, their aspirations, their goals, their business, their characters and their personalities. And using that information, it then enables us to be able to understand how we can go about making a proposal or proposition to them. And if we do that well, then the decision element becomes the smallest element of the overall process, because the proposition that we've made relates directly to the needs that the buyer has, because we have taken the time not just to ask about those needs, but to understand them as well, and specifically understand how those needs become married and engaged, if you will, to our solution. And it becomes not a buying or selling process. It becomes a collaborative process. And this is what the principal selling system is all about. It's about being client-centric. It's a 21st century methodology. At the core of the principal selling series are these 16 words. Everybody that goes through this program, at the end of the program, in fact, actually, by the end of the first 2 weeks, will know these 16 words off by heart. It is the great foundation, if you will, of where we start from. And that is that people buy when a compelling need is met by a credible solution that offers perceived value. Salespeople that have been trained by Lamour and Action Invest using the principal selling series have this as the start of their roadmap, if you will. At any point in the sales process, they're always able to go back to these 16 words. Why am I having an issue or a challenge here? It could very well be because I don't understand the need. I need to ask more questions about that need. It could be that I understand the need, but I haven't been in a position to be able to demonstrate the credibility of my solution as it specifically meets that need. And most of all, I'm obviously not offering the perceived value, the return on investment. What do we mean by perceived value? Perceived value means that it's specific to that particular buyer. The word value, ladies and gentlemen, quite frankly, is the most misused word in the sales vocabulary. Completely misused word in the sales vocabulary. And I want to be able to demonstrate to you why that is the case. And unfortunately, I have to tell you that once you've seen this presentation and seen me deliver the toothpaste challenge, every morning when you get up and brush your teeth, and every evening when you go to bed and brush your teeth, you're going to think about me. And I apologize for that. But the toothpaste challenge is one of the most important lessons you can learn because it's about understanding value. Okay, let me show you it. We have here on our screen 4 products. At the top right-hand corner, we have the Janina product. The Janina product is what I call the Kim Kardashian of toothpaste. It's the ultra white whitening teeth. You know, what happens is when you use Janina, they close down lighthouses and they ask you to stand on the top of cliffs. That's what it does for your teeth. That product here in the United States is somewhere in the region of $12 to $15. The product underneath that is the environmentally friendly product, the Tom's product. It's actually made here in the state of Maine, and it typically retails in the United States for somewhere in the region of about $6 or $7. Underneath that, we then have the brand leader, Colgate, the name that everybody knows and the name that's been around for many, many years and has a significant amount of trust associated with it. Here in the United States, that product is retailing for about $2.50, $3. And then at the bottom, we have the Walmart version store branded product. It's 99 cents over here. Now, let me ask you a question to think about. What have all these products got in common? Well, of course, the answer to that question is they all clean your teeth. And on the basis that they all clean our teeth, why is it that somebody would spend up to $12 to $15 for the Janina product, or $6 or $7 for the Tom's product, or $2.50 for the Colgate product, when they could actually spend 99 cents and save themselves a bunch of money? Ladies and gentlemen, the reason is quite simple. It's about the compelling need. That's what the CN stands for in the top left-hand corner of our graph. Compelling need. When we understand compelling need, we will understand what it is that we need to offer to our clients and how they will rate the value of that product. So if I have a need for teeth whitening, if I have a need to be environmentally friendly, then I know I'm going to spend more money on that product. It stops becoming a price-led decision. It's a need-led decision. And I can relate the value back to the credibility of the solution, which is what the CS stands for underneath the CN, towards the product that I am purchasing. If Janina is costing me $13 and it is providing me with a teeth whitening solution, then that I am getting value because that is what I wanted. If I actually wanted just trust, I wanted a product that was going to do the job for me, clean my teeth, and I just wanted to feel that I could trust it moreover and more so than trusting the Walmart product, then I'm going to pay $2.50 rather than 99 cents. And so one of the things that I ask you to do is to think about whatever it is that you're selling, whatever product or service it is, and identify those very predictable, compelling needs that your clients have. And then understand how, when those products and services are proposed and they match compelling need, how they demonstrate the perceived value. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when we start thinking about sales in that regard, it stops becoming a price-led based sale. It becomes a value-led based sale based on compelling needs. I hope you enjoyed that little excerpt, and specifically to give you perhaps a different way of understanding value and a different way to support yourselves getting away from price-led decisions on the part of your prospects, which ultimately will lead to discounts. This type of process will provide you with an opportunity to be able to say to your prospects, Mr. Prospect, I cannot believe that you're looking for me to discount the product based on it being able to do specifically what you asked for, and I've demonstrated that return on investment. Why are you looking to make a decision based on price rather than based on the return on investment that I've already demonstrated to you? Becomes a very difficult question for a buyer to answer. And so one of the great benefits that we provide through the Principal Selling Series is that not only can you convert more, but perhaps you can convert more at a better price. Okay. So let's talk about the Principal Selling Series. As you've heard me talk, it's a client-centric approach. It's a 21st century sales philosophy. It is based on 3 programs, which each program has 4 modules to it. And the whole series is purchased together, so you're going to have all 12 modules delivered to you. They are separated between creating a winning proposition, the 5 steps to an effective sale, and closing the sale. We start very much with those 16 words as our overall foundation to the philosophy, and then we go through a whole range of different models, frameworks, and opportunities of strategy for you to be able to use, finishing with closing the sale, which is as much about understanding how physiologically we make decisions as human beings and how we protect ourselves from risk, and how as salespeople we help our buyers overcome any risk that they perceive. The great beauty of this program is that it is delivered in what we call a distributed learning model. It's a drip feed approach. over 13 weeks. It's approximately about 3 hours of learning a week. And those 3 hours of learning are segmented through a weekly live virtual coaching session using Zoom. And interestingly enough, of course, in these times, it is kind of a requirement for us to be delivering on virtually. However, we have been doing this for many, many years, so we're very used to the virtual environment, if you will. But it is a live coaching environment delivered virtually using Zoom. We're using digital e-learning content, which is presented through a learning management system. It is multimedia, it is video, it is diagrams, it is photos, it is a whole range of different presentation styles, which you will enjoy. It's not like reading a book on a Kindle. And the third element of the 3 hours is the assignments, if you will. It's the homework that the learners are completing. And it's an important aspect of the program, because what's actually happening is that the skills for that particular module, for that particular week, with the assignments, are then being combined with your own product and service and your marketplace, your own experiences, etc. And what it does, it creates this blend between a theoretical approach that you can then adopt in your own real life situation and scenario. And we call that a contextualization. And this drip feed approach does the one thing that is a big objection to many people with sales training. It supports retention, because you're able to use the skills that you're learning on a week-to-week basis immediately. You're not having to wait to the end of the 13 weeks. And that being the case, it means you're getting the opportunity to practice, you're getting the opportunity to interact with your coach based on your experiences, and it provides you with this real-world opportunity to grow your skills in what is, of course, the most important function within a corporate organization. Lamour has been around since 2002. We were founded in the United Kingdom by a gentleman called Mark Blackmore that wrote a book called The Single Sales Principle, which was very successful. And we've got an enormous track record of creating success both for individuals and within corporate organizations. We focus on the organizational growth, if you will. On the basis that we have been delivering this program virtually for several years, I think you will understand that we have been challenging the status quo. We've been innovating how sales training has been delivered. We're not about throwing people in a classroom, throwing paint at the wall and hoping that some of it sticks. We're also accredited by the industry awarding bodies in the United Kingdom, the Institute of Sales Management and the Chartered Management Institute, which you may be familiar with. These are not-for-profit organizations that are regulated by the Department of Education in the United Kingdom, and they create a skills framework around different roles, of which we build and develop content to meet those skills frameworks. We are award-winning. This principle selling is very much an award-winning philosophy, and we have won awards at the British Excellence in Sales and Marketing Awards. We've delivered and do deliver this program on a global basis, significantly across the United States, Europe, and Asia. We are a global business operating on the East Coast of the United States and, of course, from the United Kingdom. We have here some testimonials from Guyanan businesses, the Millennia Travel Agency, Pisa Hall, who is completed a program, and Bram Persaud, who is the owner and director of Sylvia's Industrial Solutions, who I've had the pleasure of delivering the training to both of them. So very much we do have this opportunity for you to be able to talk to people on a local level, taking into consideration the specific cultural environment, business environment that you are working within, which of course we would respect to be different than other countries around the world. and you have an opportunity to talk to people specifically who've been through the program on a local level. And here is another one, gentleman, Andre Cummings, who I had great pleasure in training. And I think, if I may say, took what was perhaps maybe a rather well-experienced, well-established business owner with a slight cynicism towards sales training, and throughout the process provided them with real evidence that is actually making a difference to their business sales on a week-to-week basis. Okay, I'm now going to pass back over to Shanti. I thank you very much for your time and listening to me. I hope you've enjoyed everything, and if you have questions at the end, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about them. Shanti.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much for your presentation and lots of information. I know that you have just given us a little taste of what this course entails, and the people who have gone through it, those companies have some great testimonials too of what it's doing for them, and some of the assignments even that they're doing, they're actually using it and putting it into practice in their business, and it's helping them along the line to increase their conversion rate. And we can go into the direction of understanding how important this is, that your investment into learning and growing and keep improving your numbers, and what does that do for you, right? And so today what we are offering is this program. As you heard, it's a 13-week program, and it goes for $130,000 for the entire program. But if you're to break it down, it's almost $10,000 per week. And the value that our country, I would say in Guyana, that we're getting comparing to the others around the world who are having this as a bigger value, I would say, in their costs that they're investing, is that we are offering it at a very affordable price for our team in Guyana, and we want to extend it out to others that can benefit from it. And what we've noticed is that there aren't many in-depth kind of sales training courses that are available for people. And so this is one of the reasons why we brought it to Guyana too, so that people can have access to this. It's just not a few hours into a training and then you go back and figure it out. But this here helps you step by step in each one of the modules, and as you do your assignment, it's become even more clearer for yourself and how you apply it in your business. And it goes for any business, because we have many different businesses in the program, and they're benefiting, from schools down to travel agency, retail, and other business. Even Andre's business is more in flooring. So that every aspect, every business is able to benefit from this training and what they're getting out of it. And some of our clients who are on board has seen that even in one sale was able to pay for the entire course. The knowledge that they've gained, the things that they've learned and went and put into practice, that alone, that one sale was able to pay for their course. And leaving out, the knowledge that you gain cannot be removed. And being able to apply this over and over into each one of your sales interaction, what is it going to do for you? So additionally, John, can you move to the next slide there? What we are offering too is that if you can enroll 3 persons, you get yours free. So that's an offer that we are running for this period here, and eventually it will be off where you wouldn't get access to this offer. So if you jump on it, it will be beneficial for you if you can enroll 3 persons into the program, and yours can be free. And John, next slide. So Jim Run, he says, never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. And working hard on yourself is what is important. Working hard on yourself than on your job. So the more knowledge you would get out of this program, it makes your sales techniques and skills even better. So you don't have to work so hard, or you don't come across as being pushy, as John was explaining earlier. But how do you smoothly actually interact with others and get them to, help them make a buying decision? How do you get to identify their compelling needs and match it in with a credible solution so that they can see value in what you're offering? And those are skills that you will develop through this program here. And if you need more information, you can actually email myself or call us on 223-5537 or 629-72921, and we can offer you any more information that you need, anything, any questions or anything we can answer. For those who are on the call today, you are free to post any question that you have, so John also can answer the questions. So John, we can go to the Q&A section. If any of the persons in the group would like to unmute their mic to and ask a question, you're free to do so too.
Thank you, Shanti, and I can see that there are quite a few comments coming in. Camille Duki would have actually mentioned that, and she is currently in the program as well. The weekly assignment is a really great way to apply the learning in a very practical way. And what it does really is it creates your internal sales manual also. I'm just wondering if I could share my screen for a second. Right, so you can actually see the book here, and I would have actually met Mark, and then I also met John, 2 years ago. And the book is really fantastic. It really deals with the single sales principle, which John mentioned, ensuring that you actually discover what the compelling need is of the person that you are looking to work with. What is your credible solution? Because if you don't have a solution, it doesn't make sense for you to go presenting that to someone if you haven't discovered if it can actually meet their need. And then it must deliver perceived value. The person is not going to go ahead if they don't believe that they're really getting value out of it. And it also deals with the myths, the 8 myths of selling. So a fantastic book, and the course is really focused and centered around this specific training. So let me just see if I can pull that up. The portal itself, there are 3 parts to it. And this is also available on an app, so you can actually also do the training on your phone, for example, and every module is laid out. In terms of the modules itself, what I really love about the modules is that it breaks up the content into real bite-sized pieces. There's video, there's audio, there are very short videos that really explain the entire concept as well. So really easy to use, and it is also available on your app, an app on your phone. And I really love that, because for me, I'd like to sit somewhere and take my time, go through the content, and be able to go through the videos. So I think that the ease of use is really what helps a lot. Now, in terms of questions, I do see one here from Indira, who is in Trinidad. Do you have examples of the return on investment from the training? So John, if you can share some feedback on that.
Absolutely, and I'm sure actually your own clients in Guyana that we've been delivering to will be able to attest to their own return on investment. But from a generalization, we make a we make a statement based on our experience dealing with many organizations, where we would expect within 6 months of the completion of a program that an individual salesperson or a sales organization that has put their people through the principal selling series should be seeing somewhere in the region of a 30% increment in their sales performance. Now, sales performance can be measured in a whole different range of ways. Of course, there's obviously the top line number, but as I discussed also in our in the presentation, we could be talking about actually the same number of sales coming in, the same value of sales, but much less from a discounting perspective. So those sales become more profitable to you. You know, one of the big pieces of feedback that we've had from sales managers and business leaders that are sitting down with their salespeople on a weekly or a monthly basis, talking about what prospects they've got, etc. One big thing that we get is that the prospect list may be shorter. However, the conversion ratio is much, much higher. And what that does is it creates a far more effective and efficient communication between the seller and the business leader, because we're talking about people who are really in a position to be able to buy because they've been qualified, they have the financials, they have the demonstration of return on investment and so on. So that whole productivity, return on investment and performance is not just financially led, but it's also led in terms of efficiencies and productivity in the business as well. I hope that helps answer the question, Indira.
Yeah, and also, you know, one of the key things that I actually see, Camille was on the line. So Camille, if you'd be able to share with us your feedback on the course.
Yes, Vishnu. So I'm glad that the training is going to be scheduled. It is going to be a follow-up or not a training, because I was just telling Shanti, I don't mind having a second shot at this because I'm really enjoying the training. It has really helped in my business from more, John would have mentioned, taking a more client-centric approach, Doing, as you delve more into the training, you understand the needs of your customers more, and why is it necessary to have that client-centric approach, not a sales-centric one. And I've also realized that John said a principle is 16 words, but for me, I have broken it down to 6: compelling needs, credible solution, and perceived value. There has to be an integration of those 6 words. Once there's a missing link, you will have issues in your sales and marketing there. And that is what I feel like sharing.
Thank you very much, Camille. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I think, you know, what I would like to really, you know, the reason we participated as well, why we got involved, is that, you know, I've been learning sales now for a very long time. I'm in this particular field, but definitely in Guyana, there is no course that really focuses on developing the level of sales skills that you really need in order to make sure that the market knows how your product can really make their lives much better, and even internationally. So, you know, when I did come across the principle selling series and the single sales principle, and John would have given me a demo of it, I understood how easy it is to use and how applicable the information as well is. And also the objections, you know, the objections that people get, you know, the price is too high, or the color is not right, or, you know, the person who has to make the decision isn't here. How to deal with those objections, because are they real objections? Are they not real objections? And do you actually have a process that allows you to identify the objection, make sure that you clarify it, isolate it, you know, making sure that it's the only objection, getting commitment, and then actually address it. Because, you know, one of the key takeaways from the session for me is to understand when an objection is real and when it's not real, and how to go about really addressing it so that that person can benefit from what you offer. When it comes to the ROI, you know, the simplest way I can explain this to you, for everyone out there looking, think about what your average dollar sale is. You know, so if you sell maybe, you know, $1 million a day, and it's 10 sales, that means that an average sale is about 100,000. And I'm talking Guyana dollars here, but you can use your currency. And if it is 100,000, and let's say you make 30% profit, That means on every sale you make about $30,000. And let's say this program is 120, 130,000. That means if this course can help you increase your sales by just 4 more transactions, it already pays for itself. Now, if you're the type of business that does 10 transactions per day, hypothetically, we could increase your sales in 1 day from 10 to 14, and this course has paid for itself. And as John mentioned, this course will continue paying for itself forever. So that, I hope that helps with addressing the question about ROI, because for us it's been fantastic, and all the clients there have been participating. They've been benefiting from the knowledge as well.
Vishnu, what you've just talked about there is perceived value, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. And Diana saying thank you very much for the huge nuggets of information. Adrian is asking, how is the training tailored to address the present COVID landscape?
It's a great question. I think here's a general question, a general answer for that for you. Where you are talking about a client-centric approach, you are automatically taking into consideration at the forefront as a priority the environment that your prospect is currently faced with. So that's an important point, because being client-centric, in all likelihood at this moment in time, being client-centric, one of the first questions you're going to ask is, so tell me, how is life for you, your family, your friends, and most importantly also your business, given everything that's gone on in the last 90 days with COVID? So being client-centric puts that at the forefront. Doesn't put your need at the forefront in terms of, I need to get this sale because business hasn't been very good in the last 90 days. It helps you understand right from the starting point. So that's from a kind of a general approach, being client-centric. There is, however, one of the modules that we work on during the 13 weeks, we talk about something called PESTLE. PESTLE is it's not something that's been created or invented by Lamour. It is an approach that we have adopted as part of the program. PESTLE, it stands for Political, Economic, Social, Technological, Legal, and Environmental. And one of the things that we are looking to do is to understand some of those macro challenges or opportunities that are going on for the client across one of or several of those particular areas: political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. And of course, something like COVID, of course, it fits right within that from an environmental perspective, from a political perspective, perhaps, and certainly from an economical perspective. So we believe very strongly that, I appreciate that your question has been asked specifically about COVID, but we believe specifically that this process that we take you through, this framework that we provide for you, will enable you to be able to pull out most, if not all, of those kind of macro things that are going on for that particular prospect.
Yeah, and I would say, from my perspective, it deals with the COVID landscape in 2 ways. One, that the delivery is done completely remotely, so it avoids the need of you having to be in a classroom. And I can tell you that, training with John and training with Shanti is the most fun you can ever have in a training session. And that's one. So it actually allows you, and that's why we are so happy that we started during this time with it, because it's allowed all of our sales skills to get much better. And then secondly, all the companies that are going through the training as well have been able to either maintain their level of sales, increase their level of sales. And maintaining your level of sales during COVID is not the easiest task to accomplish. We even have some companies as well that are not essential, that are in the tour and travel business, that have been able to utilize the time to better develop their product offerings, to be able to sit down and work out all the objections they've had for years and years and years, and actually worked out how to best address them as things move forward. So it really allows you to move your conversion rate right up. And conversion rate basically means, if 10 people become aware of you and only 3 buy from you right now, that means that you have a conversion rate of 30%. It also means that 70% of the people who talk to you don't buy from you. Now, if your selling skills were better, if you're able to better understand the need, that conversion rate goes right up. So you could even have half the people coming to you now because of COVID or whatever else. In Guyana, we have a host of other barriers. So whatever else other than COVID, if you get better at converting, at addressing the needs that people have, your sales will also be there as a result. So I hope that helps. Just check to see if there are any other questions. Shanti, anything else comes to mind for you? Why this is the ideal time to get this done?
You said there are many who are home and can't work, and what would be a best time than now to actually develop your skills, so that when the virus, I would say, maybe passed over and we get into the next phase, that you hit the ground running in the knowledge that you would have gained and be able to maybe double, triple your sales in those periods, because now you understand sales at a different level from where you were operating.
Maybe the thing that comes to my mind here, that the sales skill is a very transferable skill. Because if you're doing carpentry, you can't easily leave carpentry and jump into fishing, or you can't, leave fishing and jump into construction. But if you're the one who knows how to sell a product, sell a service, you can move from industry to industry and still be able to deliver really well. I think Karen is mentioning here, the training really helps you to build an internal sales manual, especially the session on objections. And doing it as a team also helps to foster team spirit and align to your vision and mission. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much for that comment, Karen. All right, if there's anyone else who would like to make any comments, any questions, I think we've addressed quite a few. Maybe, John, would you like to make any closing comments, and then we'll hand it over back to Shanti?
Oh, absolutely. I would firstly just to thank everybody for their investment of time and listening to what we've had to say and exploring the program. And I absolutely, if there is one thing that you should do first thing next week, is to get in touch with Shanti, learn more about the program, and understand how that perceived value will work specifically and can be calculated specifically for you, because it could be the best business decision that you have made in a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. And before we jump over to Shanti, I see also another comment from Camille here. The training from Action Coach, coupled with the single sales principle training, has really helped our business to survive the pandemic. We actually started a new business model with the knowledge from this training, right? And Camille is the CEO of Camille's Academy, a very proactive private school located on the east bank of Demerara here in Guyana. And they're actually going after massive expansion as well. So, who would have thought that during COVID, during a pandemic, businesses could use all this new knowledge to really not just survive, but really thrive. Shanti?
So, John, I would like to say a special thank you for the time you put aside to do this webinar. And I'm sure many who are listening on all the different mediums are getting a lot of points. You could see some said that they, thank you for the nuggets, but I know what you've added to all of us here today is great value. And we personally have experienced the program and what it has done for us, and shifting our thinking to about sales, and especially those who are not fully trained into sales. And we hire people and say, okay, we're hiring you for sales, but these people also don't have no knowledge of, how to sell. And we put them in these positions and expect them to perform at really amazing levels. But when you look at it, what this will do for your team and for yourself too, is that how can you increase your knowledge and your, conversion rate? And as you keep learning and keep growing, you will see how this is so impactful in your sales life. And as you begin, we don't only sell your products or service, you're selling your ideas. Every day you're selling. So how do you become better negotiators to when you're interacting on different levels here? So I want to say thank you too for all the persons, our participants in the Zoom room here and those online in other areas. Thank you very much for the time, and we look forward to speaking to you in future on how to move forward in this. So the information is on the screen. You can check us out at actioninvest.org, and also call us or email us if you have any queries or questions, how you can get started. We're having a batch starting in June 11th, and you can jump on board and get going. So thank you all. Vishnu?
Thank you, and we'll now go off of the live, and for anybody who's still in the room, we can have a little bit of a discussion.